Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I am recording officially the last episode that I will ever record in this apartment because we are about to move. I'm pitching a double header. I recorded another episode earlier today. So for this episode, I have with me Margeaux Giles.
Yes, you nailed it.
Did I?
Yes.
Perfect. Margeaux Giles. My brain really wants to mispronounce it, but Margeaux Giles, CEO at IRYS Insurtech. So, Margeaux, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
It's going great. If we want to talk about the weather, I'm in Florida, so everybody can be jealous. It's beautiful and sunny here.
I usually break the ice about the weather. So I was down in Tampa just a few weeks ago for CPCU into leadership, and actually we had a great time. I thought that it'd be like 110 degrees and 100% humidity this time of the year in Florida, but apparently it's very decent.
It is, and we have a big insurtech. Like, Tampa is kind of like an undercover place. Like, we have a lot of insurtechs here. We have a lot of big carrier partners that are here too. So lots of insurance happening here.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, so we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. So what is IRYS Insurtech?
IRYS is very polarizing, and we'll get into that, but IRYS is a management platform that is microservice and API based for insurance brokers and distribution in the insurance space. So that's the PC way of saying it is a management system. It is an AMS because that word is very polarizing. So some people really want us to say that, and some people say you're so much more than that. Don't say that. So, but in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Okay, so let me digest that real quick. First of all, after 400 episodes, I don't think anybody else has started the conversation with "we are very polarizing." Uh,
It's true.
so that was very interesting. Okay, so an AMS, although some people don't want to call it that, that
Right.
is microservice and API based, kind of from the ground up,
Correct.
for brokers and other distribution in the insurance space. Okay, perfect. So I have never worked. I'm a carrier guy. I'm a
Okay.
carrier guy, gone recruiter, and I am more an insurance guy than an insurtech guy. Even though I run the largest podcast in insurtech, it's kind of a weird thing. But I have never worked at an agency or brokerage.
Right.
I have served them in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
As a sales manager or marketing rep, as an underwriter, and nowadays as a recruiter. But so basically, I have heard the horrors of Epic and Vertafore, uh, but I have never actually worked on any of those systems. So if we're talking AMS, like the two big guys that
Right.
control something like 90% of the market, right? We have to talk about them. So and then beyond them, beyond those two AMSs, there's a few other small ones that some people swear by, right? Like Hawksoft and,
Right.
and some other ones. So what?
Why?
Why
Why?
create yet another AMS? Yeah,
I think
why another agency management system?
I think that it's very. I think we're polarizing because of what you just described, and I think the language we use around it is suggestive as well. So you say you're on the carrier side. I come from the broker side 100%. So I am an agent, an agency owner, an operator, and I've spent many years, decades, in the systems that you're talking about. So I think one of the things that made IRYS special was that it was born from us. It wasn't, oh, we've been in insurance and we hear this is a problem, so we're going to take a stab at what we think the solution should be. And that's kind of, a normal entry, right? And I think because of that, we have brokers.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at like the profile of a broker, we haven't had insurtech, and I'm quoting, really long enough to see brokers transition to software, because it's not an overnight thing, right? So we've got software people that hire SMEs that come in and say, okay, we're going to build some insurance solutions. But we're to the point now we're starting to see the market change, and we're starting to see like true insurance professionals make that journey over to building software. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we said the time is now for us. Why do we need another AMS? Well, because without really being super controversial, none of the ones on the market today actually fulfill the need of what we're looking for in 2023, at least in my agency and the agencies that have sort of congregated around us, investors and partners as well, which is this need for a platform and a system that embraces connectivity instead of a culture of this is our AMS, these are our partners, and you can choose to be with us or you're not with us. And, I don't know if it's necessarily that diabolical or if it's more tech related. If you're working on systems that were built 30, 40 years ago,
legacy, yeah.
You're not that's not going to be their messaging because that's not what their technical foundation is. And so we came and spent many years in the consulting space prior to this at building these systems, integrating with them, doing data migrations, helping large agencies do digital transformation. And that was a real key because we kept butting up against the Vertafores and the Applieds that needed a lot of additional development to pull data out of so that we could integrate really great point solutions that people want to use. So if you look at Insurtech right now, there are very good what we call point solutions or feature-based Insurtechs that are solving a particular part of the broker or agent problem. The issue with those is they have great tech and they come on the market, but until that technology is embedded directly into that workflow of that user, it's always going to be cumbersome for them to leave their platform, conduct some type of a workflow, and then come back to a separate platform. And now your data is living in Indio and it's living in your AMS, and never the two shall meet unless you spend a bunch of money to put them all together. So we said, as a company, we're taking the complete opposite approach, which is how open can we make the system? How user-friendly to integrate with all these great point solutions can we actually make an AMS? And instead of saying, we're going to hold your data captive or we're holding you captive because this is our ecosystem, we're going to let the market decide the ecosystem it builds around our product. I hope that was a lot. That was a lot, Tony.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense to me. The traditional AMS systems, right? Regardless of what the companies that own them want to do with them, and philosophies and new CEOs and all that, they're built, right? They're legacy systems, and those things it's expensive, it's complicated, it's hard to bring a legacy system, if not impossible, to the modern standards of connectivity, right? And they are infamous for being walled gardens, where it's hard to connect into. Sometimes you have to pay to get to your own data, basically, right? Which obviously nobody likes.
Quite a bit.
Exactly. So part of the reason that I've never ran into an agent or broker that loves either Epic or Vertafore.
Yes.
Okay. So I get what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And it appears, just based on quick LinkedIn research, that you've been running IRYS for a little bit less than half a year.
Yeah,
so I'm assuming that there was some period before.
Many periods before. We were.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in the consulting space prior. And again, I still have my agencies that I work with, and luckily I've been able to step aside from the everyday operations of that and run IRYS. But we decided to sort of come out of stealth mode and come to market with IRYS. So we felt, which is sort of a perfect time as the market was really reeling from COVID. We're starting to really see that, age demographic that's leaving, and now we're bringing in new people into insurance, and they have to deal every day with these systems, and they're not happy about that. It's already difficult enough to train and retain talent, and then we're gonna throw this 100-page code book so that they have to memorize, or they can enter a line of text into the management. It's not conducive to the generation that we're trying to entice to come into insurance, and it's not the technology that they're used to using in every other facet of their life. Their banking and their social, and they're used to these interactions, and then they come to work where they spend 8-9 hours of their day, and they're back, if they're in the time machine back 30 years ago. And that's a significantly increasing problem. I know as an operator, it's a problem for us as we have people retire. But I think the biggest differentiation between IRYS, outside of the fact that we're API first and we're sort of microservice based, is that we came to market with a little bit of a different philosophy, where a lot of the smaller AMSs will come in and say, okay, we're gonna tackle this 1 to 2 person agency, or even up to 5, 6, 7. The smaller part of the market. A lot of them are doing personal lines transactions, and then we're gonna work our way up and try to grow with the market. The problem is that transitioning a data structure, like a database, from something simple like home and auto to something incredibly complex like commercial property or fleet management or manufacturing or is, I think, a lot bigger of a lift than anybody anticipated. And so we said, okay, our product knowledge and our knowledge as brokers is in the complex insurance, that mid to large market insurance. How do we take what we all know is fully manual right now? I mean, a lot of the process that surrounds mid to large commercial, shopping the risk, renewing the risk, managing COIs and paperwork around that, and that is fully manual, and there aren't a lot of point solutions really in that particular part of P&C commercial insurance. So instead of trying to wait 5 or 6 years to build up market, Lindsay, our head of product, sat down with me and my husband, who is also a sales rep, and some of our agents in the agency, and we said, okay, what is the wildest, most cumbersome pain in the ass client, and how much work do we do for those clients, and how do we take those workflows and turn them into software? And so I think we just started at a different spectrum, and our target is a little bit different. It's really for those agencies that either have commercial books, and they have maybe 2 systems. Maybe they're using something for personal lines and something for commercial, and they're having disconnect, or they have a good CRM and then a okay AMS, and those 2 systems don't really connect with each other. And so our goal was to be able to, when we came to market, finally say, we are an AMS, and we handle not just simple monoline home and auto, but very complex package policies with all of the data that you're going to need to handle that. So I think that's a little bit of a differentiation for us.
And is it already there? If a listener that runs a commercial lines agency, can they see a demo tomorrow?
Yes.
And
yes, they can.
Sign up day after.
Yeah, so we're in our beta phase, which means we're kind of shaking all the tree limbs and making sure that we've covered our bases for what we consider to be our
exciting to have you here while still in beta.
We are still in beta. We plan on going full launch in July. So and that aligns with a lot of the time frames.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so we're not fully out, we're not going to have millions of reviews on, online yet, but we are very close to launch. And so the product is in a really good spot, and we are demoable. We can answer any questions that someone might have about how to use it and what it would look like. We will be launching with Accord management and COI management, which is usually something that happens in future iterations, and with core lines of business. So personal home, personal auto, comp, GL, commercial auto. So we'll be launching with that full suite, meaning we're doing asset management, we're doing schedule management, we're doing property management, all the fields, all the good stuff you need to generate accords and COIs we have in the system. So should be fun.
Okay. What type of agency or brokerage? Clearly commercial lines. But what kind of agency or brokerage is kind of the perfect partner for, let's say, the next couple of years?
Right. I like everybody asks this question, especially on the investor side, and they're like, "What's your target?" And it's harder to put it's a 10-person agency or it's a 5-person, because for us it's a mindset. It's more of an agency mindset, right? So if you want to continue, like if you're good with spreadsheets and data is not your thing, and you're not interested in AI or using any of these point solutions that are on the market, and you're just kind of, this is your thing, I'm going to Hawks off, apply, like these places are great for you. If you are looking to differentiate yourself from the person down the street, if you're looking for that competitive edge, if you're looking for, I would say, more relationship-based insurance. So if you're a transactional shop and you're BORing everything and that's your, I mean, you may not find the value that we provide. We're really relationship focused. If you look online, a lot of our design is around understanding the customer, understanding where they came from, cross-selling across different departments and verticals. So I would say it's a mindset of like hyper growth. It's great for companies. I think we'll probably find a lot of success in companies that do mergers and acquisitions. So if you're an agency that purchases small books and data is important and you don't want it siloed everywhere and you want to be able to start to get a holistic view of that, we've seen a lot of success in that area too. So it's more of a mindset and less of we only service people with 10 users or more. I mean, that's not the approach that we're taking to this. I hope that makes sense.
Perfect. And I don't ask. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I don't ask from the perspective of an investor. I ask for, since the listeners, many of them are brokers.
Well, I mean,
trying to encourage the right ones to check you out.
Historically, though, it's always been we do it by user, by month, and this is how we charge, and we don't talk to agencies under 10 users, or we only talk to agencies over whatever that is line in the sand has been historically for AMS. We just find, like, especially when you cross into commercial and even into the wholesale and broker space, small shops, some of these are big producers. They're big commercial agencies. They've got large accounts and their needs are very different. So I don't like to say a 5-person shop wouldn't be useful for us. That doesn't make sense at all. It's really more of like, what do they need in their daily lives that we can provide? I think that's a better way to look at it.
Okay, and on the website you've got agents, but you also have listed MGA wholesalers, D2C and program carriers,
yes,
entities with multi designations, which I have no idea what that actually means.
It's really hard but basically the ones that do all the things, right? Because we all know that their MGAs will typically have a retail arm. You know what I'm saying? So like all are welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it'll work for MGAs and for like things that are not just retail agents.
Correct. It right now. So we said like we're looking at the next couple years. Right now we're very retail agent focused. That's where our like hearts are. Right.
Makes absolute sense.
But we do have some investment from MGAs and brokerages that we'll probably see some pieces move into. So our goal is not to come in and overtake that market. Our goal is to be, again, the platform that if you have an underwriting workbench from one of these companies, or you have an underwriting engine, or you're getting data, that you can feed this into a single location in a single UI where your retail agents and your underwriters are living on the same platform and they're sharing that information really seamlessly. I wouldn't say like I wouldn't market us as we're solving any of those problems. Like that's not our focus. Our focus is to be sort of that platform. So if you have like a Socotra integration, or if you're using Origami Risk or whatever as underwriting, you can pipe that in so that your retail agents can actually use the same system as your underwriters.
Okay, so microservices. That has not come up a lot, and it used to never come up, and it's only come up a few times in the podcast, so I have not really gotten my head around it. So what I'm really curious is, so if I'm an agency principal,
Mm-hmm.
right, I'm not the technology person,
Right.
right, I'm not writing deeds, I'm the agency principal. So in business terms, basically, in simple terms, what is the advantage of the fact that you guys are designed with microservices?
So where it's the most successful is that we can offer supplemental workflows and automation to a system that may already be in existence without us having to say it's a rip and replace, which is very different from what you get now. If you want to use Hawksoft and you're on Applied, you data migrate, you move, it's a huge ordeal. What we said was, as consultants, we've done those rip and replaces, and we're going to do that at IRYS too. However, it's not required to take advantage of what we provide. So two of the ones that are the most popular that we seem to be, signing contracts for would be the front end, our relationship viewer. So being able to look at clients in that sort of ecosystem view and be able to uncover data and analytics within your own book, and using that as sort of like a piece that supplements an AMS or a CRM instead of completely replaces it. It's the same thing with like COI management. It's really built in its own workflow, in its own service that can be called via API if to supplement a larger AMS that maybe you don't, particularly like the way that they handle certificates, or it's missing completely from the system, which is not unusual. We are easily integratable. As long as we have access to the data, we can push it in, perform that function, and then push it back to whatever your system of record is. So I think what we're finding a lot of success in is we're saying, take advantage of what you need when you need it, which is how it should be. And our hope is that you're going to love it so much that you're just going to replace everything over time, and we all get to avoid the giant ripping off of the Band-Aid.
Okay, that answered like 4 questions I had, basically.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I practiced this.
So that
Yes.
So I think my last question. So on the website, it lists a powerful AI engine.
Yes.
And we are recording on April 13th, 2023, which I've started to think of as month 1, day 28 of year 1 of our Lord ChatGPT 4, right? Like, AI has been on the news,
I use it all the time.
It's been one of those things where many so many insurtechs have been doing AI for since we've been interviewing insurtechs, and then all of a sudden the mainstream news explodes with ChatGPT, and I've gone on this YouTube hole about the end of the world, or how AI is finally taking off. So I'm just curious, how are you guys using AI in this particular product?
So I just spoke at WSIA on a panel about this not 2 weeks ago, and I called everyone out and said, you're not really using AI. Because the AI that you're talking about with ChatGPT 4 is not available. So what we're looking at, so the AI powered engine is something that is a future release. We're looking at November for IRYS. But currently what we're doing is a version of machine learning.
Okay.
Right? So
what will it do?
Yeah. So active learning, meaning it used to be rules based, if this then this. What we're doing is teaching the computer, hey, when you see these set of attributes, learn from it and adjust. I think that's probably what most people are actually doing. Like if you were to just go behind the curtain and understand what they're doing. But as far as generative AI, which is, becoming more widely available, we are currently prototyping things like being able to speak to the AMS and say, from a management point of view, we were testing this morning, hey, IRYS, can you tell me who my top employees are that have the most open task, right? Or overdue task. And then having IRYS surface that in a chat way, and then offer to then gently nudge those people. So we're moving in the more of the generative way. That's one of the ways we're looking at using it. The other, which is probably going to be a little longer, which is like, if we have a new agent and they come in and they're concerned that they're not quoting the right coverage, or they don't necessarily understand the exclusion language in a policy, being able to drag and drop a document in and have IRYS explain in sort of more layman's terms and communicate with that agent in a human language way of what the exclusion says or what the language says, so that we're kind of stopgapping some of the confusion that can come along with that. So that to me is a little bit of a later version as we progress, but we envision being able to, at the very least, be able to ask the AMS to perform functions for you in a more conversational way, or dragging and dropping a policy PDF and having the AI actually fill that information into the data fields without you having to key them in, because I'm holding the paper and then I have it up on my screen and then I'm typing that in. To me, that's a very simple AI interaction that can be read and it can be distributed without the user having to waste keystrokes. So we're looking at those type of use cases for AI.
Fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. You absolutely made me laugh with the hey IRYS, who has the most tasks. Because so I'm self-employed now for the last 8 months. But prior to that, like basically at any job I've ever had, and especially my last job, if my boss had the ability to ask Bullhorn, which was our software, Bullhorn, who has the most overdue tasks, I would have been winning by far. But then at the same time, if he had asked Bullhorn, who has the most activity, right? Who is like doing the most to bring in business, which is what their job is. I would also have the most. So anyway, it just made me laugh.
No, it's that interaction. So when we talked to operators and we said, like, how would you actually use this when we interviewed people, it was a lot of it around analytics and reporting, because maybe a manager or an executive isn't going to dig into an AMS and run a complicated report. If this, then this, or greater than or equal to. They get frustrated, right, because they're busy. So what do? They hire data analysts to come in and run those reports for them so that they can hand serve them, to their weekly meeting. But it would, a lot of them ask, like, hey, I don't know how to maybe do those kind of more complex reports. It'd be great if I could just say what I want to an AI and have them go perform the task of setting that report up and then delivering it back to me, which again, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not sexy, it's not crazy AI, but it's certainly what we feel is like a very tangible application of how it could be used
compared to the world that we're coming from.
Exactly.
This is fantastically sexy.
Yeah.
Compared to insurance technology we've all had to deal with.
Right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. When this has been a fantastic conversation. When this goes live, I'll tag both you and the company on LinkedIn, and I'd love to have you back as you guys a year down the road, 2 years down the road. Well, I'd love to have you back. Once you've been live for a while and once a few versions have gone by, to see how things have advanced. This is very, very exciting.
It is.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you guys having us on. It's great.